Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. If you enjoy our content, please consider donating and following our socials. All right, so I came across this topic in our little bag of tricks, our bag of goodies.
Our hat.
So, what is spiritual ego?
I'm not sure how to put that. That you're more spiritual than you think you are?
Maybe, because I kind of think of ego as, somebody coming along, well, I do more than anybody else, or I'm more involved than anybody else. I'm
Well,
better than you.
I guess it really depends on what definition of ego is it are they referring to? Were they talking about ego as in my personality? Or is it ego in me being an arrogant asshole?
Well, I don't know. This was your topic, so that's why I was asking.
So well, again, what my assumption is that we're talking about the arrogance part
That's my assumption.
on this. I just want to put it out there. There are two different things there.
Well, so we're not talking, but just clear, we're not talking about like Jungian or
No, I think we're talking more of ego
like
as in
arrogance,
egotistical
yeah.
than we are arrogance versus actual personality. Even though that could be argued because even Lady Tegan swears up and down that there's like two of me. There's me, and then there's when I become knight and put on that hat.
Okay.
Now for you, I'm after 30-something years of being together, I'm sure you don't see the difference between the two.
No, I don't. To me,
All
it was the
right,
same.
you just see the difference in when I'm acting serious versus when I'm not.
Well, yeah, but I mean, otherwise you act the same regardless.
Right. So again, I don't see that as something we need to talk about because again, you are who you are. So I assume we're talking about the arrogance of being a leader or even those who go around calling themselves just a witch.
Well, I was gonna say, do you think it comes from like social media, or do you think social media is
Actually,
being a contributor to that?
I think it comes from stupidity.
Yeah. How
All
so?
right. In the same way, stupid people are always the first ones to talk. Stupid people are always the first ones to debate. Smart people, really smart people,
Mm-hmm.
normally don't. They normally hold their lips. They normally think about what they're about to say and double check. Most smart people have a problem there because they're too busy. Well, am I right or am I not? Versus the dumb person who just automatically believes that they are right. So again, we're running into the same psychological problem here.
Well, I don't know that I would classify that as stupidity or being dumb. I would say that's misinformed.
Well, again, it is that lack of knowledge. It is that lack of self awareness that you could be wrong.
So you think this happens more with like solitaires than it does with coven members?
But I think it happens to everybody to some extent. I
Okay,
mean,
so
I hate to be this way. It happens to everybody to some extent. Yes, not just solitaires,
not just beginners either.
not just beginners. All right, because I mean, there is the whole first degree arrogance thing that always seems to happen.
Oh yeah, we've seen that quite a few times.
All right,
We've had
where
to put
you
some
get your
people in
first
places.
right. You have somebody that becomes a first degree and they think they're all that in a bag of chips.
Right.
Most first degrees, if you've learned first degrees, that just means you know how to function inside a temple. End of subject.
Yeah.
No great accomplishment. I mean, yes, it is an accomplishment, but and you're on your way to becoming more of a priest or a priestess, but
Well, but
you're
even
youngin.
even then, it's not just that was my point earlier when I said it's not just beginners. It
No.
happens to seasoned people as well. You get a little cocky every once in a while, and
Well, let's make it even worse. When we're talking about spirituality in general,
mhm.
all right? I mean, somebody prove me wrong. All right. Because again, Spirituality, there's the problem. It's not like science, where there is the boiling point of water.
Right.
Spirituality is a little bit more loose. It's loose enough to where anyone can sound good. Are you with what I'm trying to say there?
Yeah. Yeah. And
I don't know how else to say that. There is a problem with spirituality. It's easy for, hence the reason you wind up with con artists and all this other stuff,
mhm,
milking people for thousands of dollars.
right.
All right. Because a person with a good, with a, what is that perfect type of personality to pull people in
hmm
and the whole 9 yards, you got spiritual ego here.
So would you say, and I'm gonna ask this, but because it comes from my opinion on this, would you say that this is kind of where for some people the imposter syndrome comes in? Because sometimes we run across those people, including ourselves at times. Well, like for me personally, I feel like I have imposter syndrome because I feel like I'm not qualified to talk about a lot of things. And then people come to me about these things, and don't do that. I don't deserve this conversation. And do you think that that's kind of where that sort of
And
happens?
I think what causes the imposter syndrome is our lack of knowledge in a specific subject. Instead of sitting there trying to admit that we just don't know and doing like what you just did, that this is not a conversation. You're barking up the wrong tree here to
Right.
have this conversation with me. That ends the imposter syndrome. So again, that's what makes me think that those who have it, they're sort of, they know they're bullshitting themselves. They know they're bullshitting other people when they're talking about these subjects because they don't understand them that much.
Right. Well, see, like for me, it's tricky because I feel like I'm qualified to talk about a lot of things, and I'm qualified
Right.
to do a lot of things. But it's like even in my work, people put me up on a pedestal, and sometimes I just feel like that's not. You don't need to be doing this,
I know what you're talking about there because again,
and
I
that
had a
may not
job there.
be total
Right.
imposter syndrome, but
Right. I mean, I had a job there where I ran around like a chicken with my head cut off half the damn day, and
mm-hmm,
everybody thought I did miracles and walked on water.
mm-hmm,
I just, but that's not what actually happened. So it was easy for me to keep myself a little bit more humbled on those
right,
situations because even though they would sit there and run their mouth going, "Oh, you're so wonderful, great, great, great. You did something nobody." No, I didn't. I just lucked out.
right.
You didn't see the 5 hours of hard work that went into getting this accomplished.
Right. But, with that being said, I think this is where no it's one of the things that contributes to the spiritual ego thing.
It's the pressure that other people put on you.
Well, no, when you get praised for things a lot, it feels good and people just, and then you just kind of absorb that and you start getting cocky and that egotistical
It's to go.
attitude starts coming out, and then it's all of a sudden you're looking at people and be like, well, you just don't know shit, do you?
I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't ever had those moments in which you're talking about, but every time I've ever had them moments, like 5 seconds later after I had that moment, there's a slap down that comes really hard after that for me.
Usually, yeah, usually
I
somewhere.
mean, yeah, somewhere along there. All right. But again, if you truly, there's a difference between knowing something and understanding something.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you know something, you can use it. All right. If you understand it, you can manipulate it to your advantage.
Understanding is more. It's more than just how is this done.
Right. All right. It's me sitting here going, okay, well, because I understand how a microwave works, we could take these components, pull them out, and turn it into a microwave gun
Right.
because
That's
you
that's
understand
understanding.
that's understanding. Because now I'm taking stuff and manipulating it to my advantage.
Right.
if you don't know that and you're asked about a subject and you kind of bullshit your way through it, that to me is what causes that imposter syndrome because you know you're bullshitting your way through
Right.
instead of just being honest about it. I don't think that's spiritual ego.
Okay.
I think spiritual ego is when you actually believe you know a lot about a subject and you don't.
Okay, so that would
Did
be
you see the difference there?
all right. Well, let's dive in. Let's dive into that a little bit more. So now we're talking about signs of spiritual ego,
Right,
right? So something like that would be, I guess it would be more like a fixation with authority.
right.
Well, I know this, therefore I'm better than you.
Yes, right. Or I've gone through this, so therefore I am better than you.
Right. I'm initiated. You're
Um,
not.
or is that whole entire, hey, I've studied for 20 years, you haven't. So I've read this many books, you haven't.
Right.
All right. I
Like,
mean, just because you've read the books don't mean you understand the books, but
no, absolutely not. But I also think if you've got people who are reacting defensively to some type of a disagreement or some type of correction on something, then yeah, that's another sign.
yeah, I mean, if you see people if you're sitting there and you're talking to somebody about stuff and they start getting a little bit irritated with you, yeah, the majority of times I consider that a sign that you don't know what in the world you're talking about. And you're getting irritated because I keep on pointing to those
Mm,
sections.
mm,
I've seen people do that and not realize that they're poking holes in the other person's theory
right,
left and right because they're having to change what in the world they're saying every other time. And they're too busy wrapped up in the conversation to even know what's going on.
right,
You sit there on the outside going, you really want to, I've seen this before. I really want to tap the person going, look, they don't know what they're talking about. You've already gone 2 levels above them.
right,
Hence the reason when you're not getting any answers, and hence the reason that look is on their face.
right,
They're trying to figure out how to end the conversation and get away from you.
right.
But again, here's what I'm going to say. If we're doing our meditations, if we're honest with ourselves, if we're doing our rituals, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're doing these things and following the patterns and attuning ourselves to nature and all this other stuff, this becomes less and less of a problem.
Right. Well, and I think I can sum that up in one word: humility.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about just performative. I'm talking
Oh,
absolute humility.
humid.
Like when people say, "God, you're so knowledgeable," and I bet this and I bet that. I bet you know all this, and I'm like, "No, hold on.
No,
I can tell you right now, I don't know as much as you think I do."
I know my field of expertise.
And even then, there's things I don't know. So don't do that.
don't.
That's humility.
Yeah, that's humility. And again, it's knowing what you do and don't know.
Hmm.
And again, I know you hated this at the beginning, but stupid people tend to open their mouths first and can keep on talking. Really smart people are the ones sitting there going, no, this ain't my field, or I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Right.
All right. And for as much as everybody wants to go, oh, he's being mean, I'm sorry, this is the verifiable fact of nature, of human nature.
Right.
All right. It's been studied 100 times.
Well, so we've discussed some signs of what it is and how to identify it. It just in general. Let's discuss some that are more specific to the pagan community.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Oops.
know. Yeah, ouch. This is gonna hurt some folks, and I'm sorry, but I'm not. So yeah, we've said it once before that just because you're initiated does not make you better than anybody else.
No.
And if you're one of those people, then you need your spiritual ego in check.
Well, again, if you were trained well in the whole 9 yards, you realize as you go up that ladder, it only gets worse.
Right. It only gets worse.
It only gets worse because there's more responsibility. There's more things you have to think about. There's more stuff, and there's enough stuff there to make sure
Mm-hmm.
you stay humble.
Mm-hmm. Another thing of that is if your leaders are being treated as infallible or unquestionable, There's some spiritual ego that needs to be in check somewhere around in there.
Yes.
You need to watch out for that.
Don't do it to. And as a spiritual leader, here's what I would ask the community: stop doing this to us.
Right.
All right. Now, again, while I have a warm spot for our elder, he was
Mm-hmm.
still an elder. He was still a man,
Right.
and he had his mistakes.
Right.
All right. No, me and that man did not always get along,
No, you didn't.
but I still respect him for what he did. I'm not going to put him up there on a deity spot as if, ooh, oh, and
Right.
all that. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, we have to keep that in check.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm going to say that. Yeah, you should listen to Third Degrees. At least if you ask us for our advice, we're going to tell you what we think. And
Right. And realize that for most of those third degrees, I can't say most of us because I'm not a third degree, but for most of those folks, it comes from experience, and they didn't just get third degree overnight. It took many years to
nope.
get to that point. So there's some experience level there. And you don't even have to follow it. Just heed the advice. Just okay. Well, they said that. That's something I might want to think about.
Well, again, I'm going to be sitting there. If you're part of a temple or a group or just a group in general, and everybody in the sort of has this, well, you really shouldn't be questioning this person or that. That's a red flag to me.
Yeah, that's a huge red flag.
That's a huge red flag. All right. When you're not allowed to question or to bring up other viewpoints
Mm-hmm.
that might even counteract others, because I've seen that happen.
Oh yeah.
Where, well, you bring up the long read and they're like, well, we're only going to use the short read. So the long read never existed. So
Right.
what are you talking about?
There's too many words in there. We're not going to use that.
But again, sitting there going, being against bringing in the long read and let people read it or at least know about it, that
Right.
to me is a red flag there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you adopt it into your
Well,
tradition, but
it's the whole withholding information. It's
yes.
gatekeeping. It's
To me, that's more of the gatekeeping that everybody's talking about, where
right.
this is probably where in the world if you're following someone and they do this is probably where they have that imposter syndrome because they don't know the subject. So they don't want the subject brought up.
Right.
So they really don't understand it or the concept of it. So they don't want to bring it up because, again, that will point out the fact that they're not as knowledgeable as they're probably going around and claiming.
Right.
So why not? No, that's not part of our tradition. We're not even going to talk about it. We're just going to ignore it.
Well, no, I mean, and for that matter, there's a lot of things that aren't part of our tradition, but we're more than willing to talk about it because we
Oh, God, yes.
we want to learn. Oh, that's interesting. Let's talk about that.
No. Let's forget learning for 1 second. I would sit there and talk witchcraft for hours on end if I could.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter what it's about.
No matter what it's about. You've seen me and Lord Min and me and other people do that for years.
Oh yeah.
Any subject.
Well, and I'll tell you this. I think something else that's probably a good sign of a spiritual ego is anybody who sits around and says, well, real witches do this. If you don't do this, you're not a witch.
Well,
I have a problem with that.
I do, but I don't, because I want to say the following. All real witches meditate.
Well, yeah, but that also comes from a traditional place as well, because
but again,
it's what we believe, it's what we practice.
So again, I'm going to sit there. Yeah, all real witches meditate of some form or another. So
okay, so you might have a little bit of spiritual ego going on. I'm just kidding.
Okay, maybe.
Let's say the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem.
Yes, I have a problem with meditation. Yes. Everyone should be doing it too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that comes from experience, and we've seen people's lives be completely transformed because they started meditating.
So,
Um,
you know,
it works.
just putting that joke out there. I'm just going to sit there and say that. Hey, but again, there's where my list ends. All right,
Right.
and it begins right there.
And so something else I think is that us versus them.
Yeah,
So like anybody who says, well, just because you're not part of witchcraft,
or
I'm
you're not part of our tradition.
right. I'm better than you. You're not
I
worthy.
get again. I will never admit or anything to having the teaching the way.
Right.
I teach a way,
Right. Right.
which means
We do not have access to some special destiny or power or anything like that. This is just
I
a way to do it.
well, that's kind of like most of the mysteries that we don't talk about and stuff like that. Outside our tradition, they're absolutely useless.
Hmm.
To be quite honest with you, why in the world people choose us to gatekeeping? If you're not following our tradition, why do you even care?
Right.
They're only relevant there. Because again, at the end of the day, what gatekeeping of magic is everybody actually doing? How many books are there?
Yeah.
I'm
True.
just saying.
Very true.
People gatekeep religion, not magic. And most people complain about us gatekeeping magic. I don't see no gatekeeping going on when it comes to magic.
No. No, absolutely not.
Something I said just the other day. I can only teach you what I believe, and either you listen to me or you don't.
Well, and that's something that this type of attitude and I said humility earlier. These are things that help keep you from being this elitist, having that spiritual ego. Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Stay open to being wrong.
Oh, beg to be wrong.
Right?
Please.
Be accountable. Welcome feedback.
You learn more when you're wrong than when you're right.
Right, which is why we tell the listeners all the time, we need your feedback.
Right.
We might be wrong about something.
And I'm going to go back to our 3 forms of ethics. Why do you think we sit here and tell people to keep your word, accept responsibility for your actions, and try to maintain balance?
Yep.
The 3 things will help try to keep you humble and will help you keep that ego under check.
Right.
At the end of the day, those who want to break these or want to trick people or whatever, eventually their true colors will show through.
Eventually they will.
No matter what in the world happens, or either that or they're going to be pretending their whole entire lives and doing the correct thing anyway.
Right.
Well, we still wind up in the same place.
We do. We sure do.
Go figure. It's just the way I look at it. These are the things we should do. These are the things we should believe in.
Right.
And like I said, if you keep these principles alive in your daily life, you're not going to have to worry about spiritual ego.
No. No, you're not.
And do your meditations.
All right. On that note, share, like, feedback, comment.
Meditate. Please share.
And we're going to go get some more coffee. Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning